Soul.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. And before we get started, let me go ahead and let you know that this episode is going to really be about nothing. Like, it's going to be all over the place. I just wanted to sit down, talk to you guys, update you on a few things, and also just, hang out. And I'll probably be bouncing around a few subjects, but I still wanted to sit down and record. And so that's what we're doing. Let me go ahead and say thank you to all of you who are supporting on Patreon, something I'm starting this month for July 2021. And moving forward is Patreon pick podcast episodes. So if you support on Patreon, you are able to suggest episode topics. And I'm going to take all of them into consideration. And if I see something that's more popular than others, I will more than likely just go with that. And at the moment, I do have a few suggestions, and I'm already brainstorming how I would approach that episode and that idea. But if you'd like to support the podcast and all the content here on WNDRSOUL, be sure to check out patreon.com/WNDRSOUL. The links for everything is in the description of this episode, regardless of where you're watching or listening to this episode. So thank you if you already are supporting on Patreon. I really do appreciate that extra support and feedback. What else is there to talk about before we get into nothing? Really nothing else. This is going to be really casual. So it is a Monday afternoon. I'm sitting down just to record after starting a new job this week. And with that being said, I am going to be heavily involved and focused with that. That's going to take a lot of my energy. So episodes and content in general might be a little scattered for the rest of the month of July, but hopefully by August, there can be a steady flow as far as scheduling and getting content out at a nice, consistent pace and on a regular basis. So I just wanted to stay up to date with posting here on the podcast. And I want to make sure that you guys understood what was happening. If you cared about that sort of thing, I kind of don't mind letting episodes marinate and just putting them out when I have the time, when I have the energy, and not putting that pressure on myself. But there are some planned episodes and subjects that I really would like to sit down and talk to you guys about. So for this episode, it's going to be a little short, but I don't think you guys mind that. It's just me again. I do have some guest episodes planned around the corner. But I do want to talk about a few things that I feel like are interesting, at least to me. And I would like to share with you guys my thoughts on it. And maybe if you haven't already indulged in any of these things, that you might check them out and then get back to me and tell me what you think. Let's start with which one should we start with? I guess, okay, on the cover, you're probably, if you're able to see it, because I know Apple Podcasts doesn't show the covers to each individual episode, which really sucks. I hope they change that, but shout out to every other platform that does, like Spotify and so many others. On the cover is this character from a manga that I've been reading and got really into recently. This manga will be an anime very, very soon. They actually just released the trailer for it. I've been trying to get more into just reading in general, but especially with manga. I use the Shonen Jump app. It's really cheap. It's super accessible. I mean, it's just so easy to just jump on my phone, read a couple chapters. It's $1.99. And they have Dragon Ball, Super, My Hero Academia, and so many others. So many others. And you can really speed through a lot of these in no time. And it's so enjoyable. I collect certain ones the volumes. I'm heavily focused on completing and catching up with my collection for My Hero Academia, as well as Vigilantes, which is the My Hero Academia spinoff. And so until I get there, I'm not really looking to buy any more paperbacks until I complete that collection. So Shonen Jump app has been really useful, and I really encourage you to check it out if you just want to see what manga is all about. If you've been hearing people talk about anime and you're not really sure if you got time to watch those shows or whatever, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's a really nice app, and I've been using it to read Chainsaw Man. And I know the moment that came out of my mouth, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you're like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Chainsaw Man. So it's not a horror movie, but it could be probably. But it's a new manga that I've recently got into. And it's like a lot of stories, but specifically when it comes to anime and manga, some of the ideas can be so bonkers, so crazy, so strange, bizarre, and weird, but yet they work. Man, do they work. And they're so fresh because they are so different. That Chainsaw Man, though it's different, does have some elements that I've seen in a lot of manga and anime as of recently. Maybe that's just me, but it focuses on demons. It focuses on a part of society that are demon hunters, but they also use people that are fiends or demons themselves in some ways. And our main character, Chainsaw Man, literally has this like puppy dog chainsaw animal thing as his heart. And I'm not going to go into so many details because I would like for you, if you haven't read this, to check it out, especially before the anime comes out, because once it blows up, because the studio making the anime already does really good works. And I know this is going to be one of those shows and stories that people just kind of catch on to, at least at this point, from what I've read. I'm like on chapter 36. I know I'm not super deep, but I'm deep enough to recommend it, I think. And so you could be ahead of the curve when it comes to the anime when it's all out there and it's popular, and you'd be like, oh, Chainsaw Man, I've been on that. Yeah. So our main character Denji, he has this demon as a heart, and it allows him to produce chainsaws out of like his arms, his head. I think even his legs. Like it's crazy, but it's super interesting. There's a lot of cool themes and concepts that you almost wouldn't expect, and yet they are there and they are captivating. They really draw your attention in. It makes you curious about what this world is like. Where is this going? And I think that's the best element in any story, to give the reader, the audience, a mystery, or just provide some answers for this world and situation that just seems so bizarre. And I have just fallen in love with the manga art. I've grown to appreciate more art when it comes to, obviously, like anime. I appreciate and have nothing but the utmost respect for animators, artists of all kinds. But when it comes to like the manga panels, that black and white art, and just the details and the action and just everything, the expressions, I'm a sucker for that now. And I think it's from growing up reading comic books over here in the West, like Marvel and DC, so like Batman and Spider-Man. Mangas have eluded me for the most part, but what really got me into it was My Hero Academia. I wanted to catch up. Like the manga story, which is the same as the anime, is so ahead. And I've probably spoke about this many times before. But I did not want that to be spoiled for me. So like, I want to say they're like over 100 chapters ahead of where they are in the current show. But after doing that, I started reading, started reading Vigilantes, the spinoff. And now with the Shonen app, I've just been checking out different ones, and they come out most of the time, they come out every week. So that's been a really cool thing to look forward to. I know my really good friend who is also a fanatic when it comes to like My Hero Academia. We have now the ability to catch up every week and talk about the most recent chapter. And so it's pretty fun. It's really a good time. And, like I said, I wanted to get more back into reading. And look, you do so much reading, you don't even realize it. But instead of like scrolling through Twitter or something like that, I'm trying to incorporate different habits as far as just like, okay, I'm going to read a chapter of this manga, or I'm going to read a chapter of this book, or I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to do something different than some of the things that I have been doing in my spare time, and even just setting aside moments to just indulge. But Chainsaw Man, and I'm not going to be able to sell it really well, and that's a shame, but it also wasn't going to be the reason why I didn't want to mention it at all, because it is something I've been getting into more recently, and I am enjoying it. And I have been recommending it to people that I know that I feel like would enjoy it. And there's some funny stuff there, but there's also, I feel like the more I've gotten into it, the more serious, it can get, but it doesn't really take itself too serious, if that makes sense. Regardless, if it's just the craziness of literally having a protagonist that has chainsaws stemming out of their arms and their head and cutting up all these demons, and some of the other characters that are in this, it's super entertaining. And I know it's bizarre as hell, but maybe that's a reason to check it out in itself. So I would totally suggest that you find a way to read it. So even if it's not on Shonen Jump, it's been extremely difficult for me to find volume 1 of Chainsaw Man. I think it's sold out right now on Amazon, which is unfortunate because, at this rate, I do want to collect it. And so, you want to start with volume 1, obviously. Even though I've read it already on the app, I still want the book. I still want the paperback. And I'm kind of starting my own little manga collection for certain series that I feel like I will appreciate and hold dear in the future. So, yeah, just really good storytelling. And I'm telling you guys, like, when it comes to anime, when it comes to manga, don't overlook it. Don't put it to the side. Don't look at it as like, oh, well, it's just cartoons or it's just comics. And look, those things are for everyone of all ages, all backgrounds, and don't put it in a box and feel like it's not for you. I'm telling you, whether you're maybe action and gore, because like Chainsaw Man can be pretty bloody, right? Maybe that's not your thing. Well, I'm going to tell you that there is something out there for you. There's plenty of genres within that particular, medium. And it's just like music. Country music might not be your thing. Maybe rap is, or pop punk or something like that, right? Well, that's just saying, like, do you avoid music altogether? Or do you find what genre and what sound, is what you're attracted to? And that's the same with stories of all kinds. So, regardless if you check out Chainsaw Man, if you are listening to this episode still, and you're not really too familiar with the medium as far as anime and manga, I really strongly suggest that you check out something and ask friends and ask people, and even Google some stuff, do some research, see if you can find something that fits your taste. And I'm sure you will. And I'd love to hear about what you found. And I'm always down for suggestions. I mean, I feel like Captain America in Winter Soldier, when he has that list, because he was like frozen for all those years. So people are constantly telling him like, oh, you got to check out this movie. You got to listen to this album. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I know we all feel that way, because people that know us best want to suggest things that it's like, oh, I know you're going to love this. So I have so many other stories and games and things that I need to get into. But recently, I've been trying to just focus on one thing at a time. And right now, I'm caught up with My Hero Academia. So I'm dipping and dabbling in a couple other ones where I can catch up to those. And then I'll have like a steady, to-do list as far as like, being caught up with some of these stories. And yeah, so check out Chainsaw Man on Shonen Jump or wherever you can get your hands on it. And like I said, check out some animes and mangas. I'll definitely be talking more about different ones in the near future when it comes to podcast episodes and other content. But there was that. And then I got to mention this as well. And I don't know how deep I'm going to get into this, but obviously there was some big news last week. Well, I guess you could quote-tape that and say that there was some news about, I don't know, Nintendo talking about they have a new version of their console, the Nintendo Switch, right? And it wasn't super impressive to me, and I could have got into a whole rant. If I were to have sat down and recorded last week, immediately after that news came out about the Nintendo Switch OLED or OLED. It's just a new screen, guys. That's really all it is, just a new screen. But anyways, I say all that to mention that it's been over a week. They announced that news on Tuesday. It's going to be coming out in October, right around the time Metroid Dread comes out, which I'm excited for. And I'm trying to get into the Metroid games. And, everybody was expecting this Pro console, the Nintendo Switch Pro or the Super Nintendo Switch something. And it was going to be updated because on the other side of the fence is Sony and Microsoft, and they have brand new next generation consoles, right? So I don't know. I think people just had expectations for Nintendo. Plus, there was just all these rumors, and it just, the eggs on our face, not because it's Nintendo's fault mostly. It's really ours for, all these rumors, man, especially when it comes to content creation. That's why I try not to get into like the news aspect of things because news comes and goes so quick and things change so fast. So it's really hard to keep up unless that's like your main focus. So it's been a week. I'm still underwhelmed by the whole announcement, and you can look into those details. But I don't know, something about it triggered my interest in playing my Switch again. I have a Nintendo Switch, not the Lite, so not the handheld only. I have the original model, but like one of the newer versions of it, I guess, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like a day one when it first came out. So, but I was having Joy-Con drift problems with my left Joy-Con, which is like the controller. So if you're not familiar too well with the Nintendo Switch, the console is cool because it's a hybrid system. It's designed to have a dock where you can play it on your TV, in your living room, bedroom, wherever, at home, or you can pick it up, attach the Joy-Cons, and play it on the go, handheld mode. Kind of like for those that are from my era of handheld gaming, like the Game Boy Advance and the DS, and I have a lot of time and memories that I can reflect on with gaming on handheld consoles. So I enjoy that aspect. But like really just kind of was collecting dust there for a while. I wasn't really excited about any of the games that came out over the last year. All this bubbling hype about a pro system led me to believe that there were some heavy hitters that they were just like stockpiling until they released newer hardware. Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time. Top 5, easy. Top 3, maybe. I mean, I would love to sit down and geek out about that game. I'm actually replaying it a little bit, just like when I'm in the mood. It's that good. I just love it. It's so aesthetically pleasing in every category. But I'll go on a rant, so I'm just going to stop right there. It's a system seller. So if you got a Switch and you haven't played Breath of the Wild, I don't care if you're like, I've never played a Zelda game. I got you, because I didn't either up until that point. Like legit. I mean, there's certain games that I've heard about so much growing up. they're so popular. Like I really don't have a lot of experience with Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest. I have dipped and dabbled in certain franchises, but not really, like Gears of War, stuff, all sorts of different stuff. I played like one Uncharted game, like there's so many games out there, so many great franchises to get into. Like if you fall in love with one, then you're like set. You have like numerous prequels, sequels, etc. that you can indulge in. And but with Zelda, I never really got into it. Maybe I don't think I even really played Wind Waker because I know the GameCube was my console. That was my jam, but that didn't happen. Maybe I rented it. I can't remember. But either way, Breath of the Wild is like a must. But other than that, I was into Animal Crossing like everybody else, but I don't think I'll ever play that again. Just not, I'm either burnt out on it or I have no interest in returning to it, just not enough there for me right now. But I know a lot of people enjoy that, but I also see the same people going over to play like Stardew Valley and stuff, right? Which is a really cool game and it's reasonably priced because that's the thing about Nintendo, man, is that like they have hitters, they have bangers, but like they never go on sale. Like their first party games, they're so damn proud of. And a lot of them, I will say rightfully so, but like, dude, I've been saying it so much that if I don't buy that game day one, I'm not paying day one prices. So unless I'm like, I am super hyped and excited, I will pay $60 or whatever for this game because I have to play it the moment I can. If I'm not in that mindset, then it's like, when are you going on sale? Which is rare for some of these games. Even like right now, Breath of the Wild is still full price. Like I think this came out with the console and that was like 17 or something like that. Like, man, I could be wrong, but still it's been a handful of years. And so with all that being said, I've been looking for reasons to pick up my Switch. And after the announcement, all the shit I was talking about with Nintendo, I still have this console that I paid money for and it's sitting there. And I kind of was trying to find ways to game and even to get away from the computer and just get out of the house, right? Like just to kind of see new surroundings and just get out of the room. And, because I've been doing a lot of gaming on my computer, playing with friends, having a blast. But, there still was a part of me that was like, like, man, I'd love to just kind of chill, stretch out, or even just go and walk around. And so anyway, shout out to Uncle Mike's World. He streams on Twitch. My buddy Mike, he let me borrow 2 games for the Switch last week. And one of them was Xenoblade Chronicles because he's been getting on my case for as long as I've known him about playing that game. He's just really adamant that, it will be something I will like. I trust him. And so like now I have no excuse. I'm going to get to that. We'll see how that goes. And I'll be honest, if it's not for me, it's not for me. But if it is, then I'm going to tell you all about it. But the second game is a franchise that I've got some experience with in the past, back on the Game Boy Advance. But I really enjoyed them. I really like strategy games. I'm not the best first-person shooter gamer, right? I don't have like those, cat-like reflexes. I'm just not super sweaty on the sticks, man. It's not my thing. I do enjoy strategy. I mean, I like things that are, moderately paced, a little bit faster. But I do like turn-based. I mean, I was a fan of Pokemon growing up. I'm a fan of certain RPGs, JRPGs that, have that aspect and play style. But Fire Emblem Three Houses has like consumed all my free time. So if I wasn't recording, if I wasn't doing anything content related, I was more than likely since last Wednesday, I think. Yeah, I think it was like last Wednesday. I've been playing Fire Emblem. I put over like 20 hours already. I've just been enjoying the shit out of that game. And I kind of knew I would, but here's the thing with Fire Emblem Three Houses. So It's the latest release in that franchise. It's on the Switch. It's a Switch exclusive. It's not like a remaster. Like Xenoblade Chronicles came out, I think, initially on the Wii. So they made like the definite edition and they brought it to the Switch. The Switch kind of became this console where they were like, yo, nobody was playing a lot of these great titles on the Wii U because the Wii U didn't do well. And that's actually one of the reasons why we got the Switch. And they're pretty similar. It's odd. But hey, it worked out. Anyways, so there's a couple things about this edition of Fire Emblem that I wasn't too hyped about when it was announced. Whenever I saw things about it, it's like, I don't know. First of all, it's got this Harry Potter vibe. I loved Harry Potter growing up, and I always appreciate that world, those characters and everything. I'm not so much into Harry Potter now as I'm older, but I can still, hold a conversation with you, geek out a little bit. But it's just, I didn't really get too heavy into like the newer movies or the play, like The Cursed Child. I have the book here, but I just didn't read it. I had a friend just spoil it. It was like, just tell me, dude, I don't plan on reading this, man. And anyways, but it had that vibe with like 3 houses. Like you become this professor at this school and you're basically training students to be warriors and go to war and stuff. And they all have different roles to play, and stuff like that. But there's different houses that also represent the different territories in this country. I'm probably butchering the, lore basis to this game. But yeah, so pretty much you're a professor like at a Hogwarts for like soldiers. And you actually do have moments where you just get to walk around the monastery. That's what it is. It's a church too, which is kind of odd, but it works out. And you pick a house that you want to be at, in charge of. That gives you like a specific handful of students that all have different types of positions, I guess, like, or I'm looking for a different word, but I'm gonna just say roles, right? So like you have archers, you have people, magic users, but some of them may use black magic, some use white magic, so they're like a healer. You have like soldiers, you have fighters. Fighters are more like hand-to-hand combat or use axes, right? And you got soldiers that use like swords, and maybe they get to a certain point where you can reclass them into being like cavalry. So they're on horses. And the whole thing about Fire Emblem is that it's like chess in a lot of ways. It's turn-based. Like you're on this map, you have a set rule for like, here's how you're going to win. You either got to survive a certain amount of turns. You got to eliminate this one enemy. You got to do this, that, whatever. There's different objectives each time you go to battle, right? But it's all about placing your pieces or your students, your warriors on this board strategically. Because one of the things that you don't have to play this way with this new version, but it's permadeath. Like I'm used to like back on Game Boy Advance, like if you lost one of your characters, they were done, dead. You can't use them anymore. Ooh, that's scary, right? So that makes every decision you make have that much more pressure, but reward as well. And so here's something, and definitely look at gameplay because like, if you are familiar with Fire Emblem, that core aspect is still there very much. And it's done really well. The things that were also kind of putting me off are the things that I'm starting to really enjoy, which is like that free time in between your battles, the stories that are going on. You get to meet all these students and all these other people that are in this game that are in that monastery or that area. And you're able to get to know them and you interact with them. So you build these bonds, you feel more connected with them. So when you're on the battlefield, you're not just moving an archer, you're moving a character that you know what they like, what they don't like, their birthday, right? You feel like you're just a lot closer to them. So I don't know. It kind of feels like whenever you played Pokemon and you gave them a nickname and you've had them, throughout your whole journey, you're able to like reflect and go like, oh man, all the things we've been through and where we've been. And, there's this bond that just makes the battles feel more fun, feel more weighted, because not only would you lose your archer, but you're going to lose this character that you've tried to improve and you've gotten to know almost like on a personal level, man. So at first I wasn't sure if I would like those aspects. I've even heard people call this waifu simulator, and I maybe it gets more into that later down the road, but from what I've experienced, those things that I thought I wouldn't like, I've actually really enjoyed. I mean, I'm all about having tea with somebody, sitting down, sharing a meal, returning lost items, talking to everybody that I come in contact with. I mean, and also just developing strength through bonds and connections with my class, with my students. And so it's just, I don't know. And it's perfect on the go. It's like really, it's really well designed to be that type of game that utilizes the hybrid functionality of the Nintendo Switch. Like I literally picked up my Switch, put it in its carrying case, threw on my backpack, right? Or, like whatever. And, and I went downtown nearby where I lived and I set up, I pulled out the Switch and I played out there by the freaking river in the fresh air. And I didn't feel like I was losing or sacrificing any quality or functionality by playing this particular game on handheld mode. Then I ended up packing up some stuff, but I kept my Switch out because there's a lot of dialogue. There's some cutscenes there. So maybe if that's not your thing, there are some visual novel aspects to it, but I think it's paced just well enough where you feel like you're always doing something. You're not just stationary, and everything you do feels like it has some kind of progress to it. There's momentum that you're constantly building. But yeah, I just got up and walked on the sidewalk. It was a little bit later at night, so traffic wasn't bad. I was obviously being more aware. My bad. I know some people might be like, that's a little dangerous, bro. I don't think Nintendo wants you to walk around downtown with your Switch. But I'm telling you, isn't that what they wanted you to do? Like, isn't it? They wanted you to get that console, go outside, and experience these games in different places other than the four walls of your room. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been hard because not every game really benefits from being in handheld mode. Actually, some suffer quite a lot. So, that's a tricky subject sometimes. But I will tell you, between Chainsaw Man, reading that manga, and playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, those two things I think are really fun. And I hope more people check them out if they haven't already. Because, I've realized that I try to force different things, or not even force, but I'm willing to try out a lot of things. But I really do know and feel when I'm naturally attracted to something. When when I'm being pulled towards it. Like with Fire Emblem, I was like, dude, I can't put this down. The next day, I'm like, I can't wait to pick it up. And that's when that's exactly when like, all right, I'm enjoying this experience. Now, with everything I've mentioned in this episode, is it for everyone? No. But I'm going to tell you, just like manga and anime, the same applies to video games. I think now more than ever, there's so many people that enjoy games on whatever platform, whatever way, whatever genre, but there's something out there for everyone. So, I think it's really a good time to research, experiment, try out different things. And with games and all these other things like anime and manga, they're more accessible now than they've ever been. If you don't know much about anime and manga, let's just say anime, you probably have Netflix, right? Well, I'll tell you what, Netflix has a lot of anime on there. They have a lot of originals, but they also have some like classics like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's like top rated. It's like top tier. So if you want to see what anime is like, I'm pretty sure you check that one out. You're going to enjoy it. But it's on Hulu. It's on HBO Max. So it's on these streaming services. You got Toonami on Cartoon Network every Saturday night. Mangas, you can find those like in Walmart now in their book section. I mean, go to Books A Million or your bookstore. They're pretty popular now. It's crazy. But when it comes to like video games, you got video games on your phone now. You know, it's just like it's becoming very easy to enjoy these different forms of entertainment. So, you know, if you are curious enough, or if you are already into these sort of things and anything that I mentioned you haven't experienced, and you might, you know, from anything I said, want to check it out, let me know what you think. And if you already have played, let's say, Fire Emblem Three Houses, or even Xenoblade Chronicles, or Red Chainsaw Man, I want to hear you guys' feedback. So that's going to be this episode. It's an episode about everything and nothing all at the same time. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I just started this new job. So when it comes to content, I'm going to try to squeeze it in whenever I feel the best and have the most energy. But that's just where I'm going to be here for the rest of the month. And I'm really excited about the opportunity with the job that I am starting. So, you know, I know you guys understand that, but I've really felt like more compelled to be consistent with the content that I'm making. And so, you know, even if I'm sitting here just geeking out about a few things, talking with you guys, I just want to stay, you know, available and be present enough to, you know, just put out that type of content whenever I can. You know, I don't know where I'm going with that. But anyways, with all that being said, I really do hope you guys check all the stuff that I mentioned in this episode. Let me know if you have or if you plan to. Don't forget, Patreon pick episode. That will be at the beginning of August. I'll be focusing on that. I'll be focusing on Wonder Sounds Volume 17. I'll be focusing on having a couple guests on the podcast. I started Wonder Blog. I'm going to try to get better with that. The just timing is starting that and then starting this new job. They might collide at first, but I have every intention of being consistent with writing and typing up different things to some extent. So look forward to that. There's going to be a link in the description of this episode if you want to check out that. I have one post on there, so feel free to give me some feedback. I've been so iffy on the streams and stuff, guys, but with my lack of time, energy, and even now programs to do video content like I have in the past on YouTube. And I've tried to stream on YouTube just even casually, but like, it's just not the platform to stream. It's just, you know, I want to. I've tried so many different times, but, you know, I might be just, you know, going live on Twitch every now and then. You know how I feel. I've been very vocal about it. It won't be a priority by any means, but, you know, on the with the schedule that I'll have coming up, you know, I'm not sure when I'll be able to sit down and work on content. And that's, you know, been a major part of my life here, especially over the last year during, you know, 2020 and stuff and before that. So, you know, some habits and routines are going to be changing, but some of them are kind of hard to break. And I don't really want to break some of these, but I want to change them up. So, you know, if you see me live on Twitch, you know, just stop by, say, hey, I'm just hanging out. Nothing fancy. Might be playing a lot of Nintendo Switch and other titles that aren't on my computer so I can produce the best quality. And it won't happen all the time. Won't have a schedule or anything like that. But feel free to come over and chat and we're just hanging out. But that's it. This went on a little bit longer than I intended, but hey, what's the harm in that, right? So anyways, whenever you are listening to this, wherever you are listening to this, I hope you're doing well. And I can't wait to, you know, talk some more in the future. So with all that being said, you guys do well. That's this week's episode. Take care. Do good. I'll talk to you guys later.
Wonder Soul.